to some writers who, if they knew the end, they'd stop writing?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly different styles. Yeah, like there will be the style of basically you start at the beginning and it's more character focused, if you like, where basically you not so much to focus on the plots and the events, you're more focused on the character, and you really just let the character lead the story, and you don't know where it's going to end up, and it manifests in its own way. Yeah, that's certainly another way to go. I personally go for the event-driven style of going because I find that you can get a more concrete sense on what you want to achieve with the story. If it's more open, I mean, that has its merits as well, but it's a lot harder, I find, to pin down what your theme's going to be, what your market's going to be, and it also lends itself more to going off track as well.
Are there other questions? Put your hands up if you've got questions. We'll try and get a bit of a sense of a queue. This gentleman there. Do you want to just stand up?
Another question for Andrew, very popular perhaps. You talked about events. I was just wondering if you have hints or tips, or how do you come up with inspiration for what the events actually are? How do you come up with those kind of ideas?
Well, I suppose my answer to that, I mean, I take it most of the people in this room are readers on some level. And even if not readers, you watch movies, you interact in one way or another with stories, and so everyone has a sense of what makes for a good story. Because if you enjoy it, if you like it, then chances are someone else is going to as well. So when I'm coming up with what the events and the story would be, I'm really driven by what I think is cool and what I think is going to be good. And I guess that came back to my last point about the story being something that you yourself like, because then it's going to come across.
We had a question somewhere over there before. If you can put your hands up after someone asks a question, we can get the mic to you for the next one. One over there.
This is a question for Michelle. I'm very familiar with most of the terms you've used, mostly through agile software development, so they're obviously very broadly applicable principles. Do you think there's anything about the interactivity of games, the agency of the player, that makes them more or less applicable to video games?
Yes, so just firstly on your point about agile development, a lot of these methods were derived from agile development. If anyone doesn't know what that term means, it's basically a development methodology. So as opposed to building a website using a waterfall or a linear method, it involves building something using iterative development. So you may build something in 3 weeks and quickly release it and then move on to the next one using prioritization. I just wanted to clarify what that meant. What was the rest of your question?
Is it more or less applicable to games?
Yeah, so I think that it's actually quite similar. So there's obviously the role of the reader or the audience, which is generally one person having a single interaction with someone, and most of the time we've got multiple people because we're looking at service design, so it may be a little bit more complex and we need to understand each of those different user types and what their specific needs are. But I think it's pretty similar in that we're trying to solve a problem for a particular or a group of persons, and we need to enable that, we need to enable that interaction. So I think we're both facilitating some sort of experience. Does that answer your question? Yeah, I'm going to take that as a yes.
Over here.
Thanks. Ian, beautiful. Oops. Laptop on my knee. Okay, Pete Plumley from the Australia Council for the Arts, and this is an arts-based question, surprisingly enough. Really beautiful show reel, Ian. Although I think you're a total cheat for not actually doing a lot of talking, but I'm sure over the couple of days we'll hear more. I recognise the first film that you showed in showreel, the beautiful cooking scenario. That I remember seeing years ago in an artist film and video exhibition through one of the main sort of European film festivals. And I'm kind of curious, do you consider yourself an artist or a designer or a games designer, or where do you sort of place yourself? And do you think that it actually matters whether you segregate yourself from being an artist to being a more commercial practitioner? Because obviously your work got more commercial towards the end of the show.
Yeah, it's actually a really tricky thing these days, where my own personal goals are to follow what interests me, and so I find myself doing all sorts of things. So that for that piece, I actually was the writer on that piece, and then came up with a lot of concepts within it. And then for some of the later ones, I was actually a designer for the iPad stuff, coming up with like how the interaction stuff works and everything like that. So selling myself has always been quite a tricky thing. Like for example, when I won the BAFTA in 2007, like the first thing that came to me after that was a games design job. And they said, oh, we saw your film, we'd like you to design a game, which was I'd never really done anything like that before, but I just like to sort of take these opportunities as they come. And in terms of labeling myself, I'll let other people label me sometimes, but then if I need to drum up work, then it's sort of a matter of being very situation specific. So to particular people at particular times, I'm an animation director, and that's all I do. They don't need to know about everything else. But to my friends and to all you guys now, the cat's out of the bag, and I do lots of different stuff. Well, no, it's dirty secrets. There are more though. If you keep drilling, you can find out more dirty secrets. I promise. Are there more questions out there? Yes. Yeah. Then anyone else got any, so we can get a mic to you? No one? I'm actually doing something myself.
I've got a question for Deane. I understand that Nightmare took a long time to film. And just in relation to you talking about working very long days, and Michelle's mention of business constraints, what was your experience working on that film of having such a long time to do it, being able to be incredibly creative, but also having to deal with the kind of constraints, the commercial constraints? What was your experience of that?
It was kind of an interesting blend because I had come from a situation of ridiculous hours and ridiculous volume of work. But the first thing, in fact, the first week that I was on the job, there was a little bit, I was working on the design for Jack's house, and I just wasn't quite happy with it. And I said to the director, I'm going to come in tomorrow, which was a Saturday, and wrap up. So you see on Monday morning, he abused me very strongly. He said, this is a 2-year project, I don't know what you'll use to, but we're going to pace ourselves so that we stay fully focused for the entire project. And he just refused to let anyone do overtime. It actually happened towards the end of the film that they started bringing us in on Saturdays for a half a day, just to kind of build up. But that was an interesting twist for me, but I sort of slipped in it pretty easily. And it was true. We did manage to keep fully focused for the entire film. And the interesting part about it was, as I said before, I didn't know it was stop motion film, but once I found out it, I embraced it. But what was interesting amongst the crew, who were, I think we were 115, something like that total. All the animators were like the Rolls Royce animators of the world. That was insanely talented. And as the first shots started to come in, everyone began to realise just how cool the thing was. And like, just didn't have an idea. And then everyone started to get feverish about their jobs. They started to put a lot more of their heart and soul into it. And just got to work, which is probably my biggest.
You weren't tempted to drop in that Flintstones feet running under the car effect against the background anyway?
That shape.
Yeah. I've got another question for Deane. Just wondering where your current personal project is at. Is it at script, or is it in storyboard, or is it in production?
I've actually finished the story, which has taken me 5 years. I actually started it. I was working on a film in Berlin, and I didn't know how long the project was really going to go, but I knew it would be a lot of flights. So I decided that flying time would be development time. So
acting. I'm worried you're going to be done as a terrorist or something, sticking post-it notes with all sorts of strange references all over an aeroplane. Someone over here.
G'day. I'm unsure which of you guys have worked on games, so this question's for anyone or everyone who wants to answer it. When you are designing a game, do you come at it from a story point of view, or do you consider the end product or rules or any sort of gaming method when you're designing games?
Just from my point of view, I've worked on more recently game books with Tim and Games, and yes, I would focus on the story as a first point, because ultimately the characters fit into the story that I create, and so does the setting. So that's essentially the way that I would tackle it myself. Yeah.
For me, it's back to that idea of how do you want the audience to behave after playing your game, sort of like, so whether it's like an issue-driven thing, whether it's a game about the environment, or whether it's more the feeling. I think that's for me that's the real starting point. But having said that, sometimes you get a brief which is like we need a game where we need to give away $1 million. Find a mechanism to give that away. So it's, you know, I think it could really vary, but for me personally, if I'm ever designing anything, it starts off with that sort of what feeling do I want to awaken someone else, and what sort of questions do I want to ask of somebody. So it's, you know, whether you ask them how they feel about the environment, or how they feel about love, how they feel about violence, how they feel about, you know, anything.
Right, so, sorry, are any of you guys gamers?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you never think like, this would be an awesome, like from a play style point of view, from a play point of view, you never think I'd really like to be flying a plane, and then, or shooting, or some kind of real-time strategy game. You never come from it, at it from that point of view, come at it from that direction. Or it's always about the story, or is it sometimes about the gameplay?
I think just my experience with that, and it sort of grew out of, I was brought in when they did PlayStation back from Army to go up to Japan, and sort of, according to Disney, breeds of soul. It's just they're tidying up some art direction. So that was my thing. At the same time, they were doing a Game Boy version, and they were stuck for ideas for monsters, or creatures, and planes. So I went back home, and I got my kids, who at that time were 15 and 18, and I got 3 or 4 of their friends, and I told them nothing about the project. I said, we need to invest in creatures, and how to do things. So just for the workshop, amongst that stage group, we came up with some fantastic ideas, about half of which made it go. That just started from a different perspective, because I didn't know. I was trying to break that into formal rules, so that's right.
I mean, just from my point of view, I would take an event like you're talking about and use that as either a starting point, or even an ending, or some significant part of the game, and build a story around that. So sort of alluding to what you're saying, I would actually look at something that's cool and fun, and use that as part of the story of the game.
Hi. This is a question for, I guess, anyone on the panel. It seems like a fairly consistent thread from what you've been saying. It seems like for most of you the creative process is quite playful. I was just wondering if anybody wanted to say how play, or even if you treat the design process as a game, how that factors into your work.
Do you want to start with that?
Yeah. So as I explained, the name of our design company is Neoteny, which means the retention of juvenile characteristics in adult life. So